I used to think I was just being too sensitive when certain people made me feel small or unimportant. It wasn't until I learned about narcissism that I realized it wasn't me. It was them. Today, we're sharing what I've discovered so you can stop doubting yourself and start recognizing narcissistic behaviors. Have you ever met someone who seemed incredibly charming at first, but left you feeling drained or uneasy? You're not alone. Narcissists often use charm as a tool to manipulate others, creating a stark contrast between their outward behavior and the discomfort they cause. One key sign of narcissism is unilateral listening. This happens when someone dominates conversations and shows little interest in your perspective. They might redirect discussions back to themselves, leaving you feeling unheard and undervalued. But what happens when this charm starts to crack? Let's explore how narcissists react when their carefully crafted image is challenged. When that carefully crafted image cracks, narcissists often lash out in unexpected ways. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to take even the mildest feedback as a personal attack? It's as if any criticism, no matter how small, threatens their very existence. This reaction might seem extreme, but it's a telltale sign of something deeper. Narcissism. Imagine this scenario. You're having a conversation with a colleague about a recent project. You casually mention that you think a different approach might work better for a particular task. Suddenly, your colleague becomes defensive, their tone shifts, and they start listing all the reasons why their method is superior. You're left feeling confused and wondering if you said something wrong. What you've just experienced is a classic narcissistic response to perceived criticism. Narcissists often interpret others' feelings and comments as direct criticisms of themselves, leading to these defensive reactions. This behavior stems from an inflated sense of self-importance, which makes them feel threatened by any negative feedback, no matter how constructive or well-intentioned it may be. One of the most frustrating aspects of dealing with a narcissist is their tendency to blame others for problems and conflicts. They refuse to acknowledge their own role in these situations, always finding a way to shift responsibility onto someone else. This blame-shifting behavior can manifest in everyday interactions, such as when a narcissist deflects responsibility during arguments, insisting that the other person's feelings are the root cause of the issue. For example, if you express hurt over something a narcissist has done, they might respond by saying, "You're too sensitive," or "You're always making a big deal out of nothing." This tactic not only dismisses your feelings, but also places the blame squarely on you for having those feelings in the first place. Emotional manipulation and gaslighting are common tactics used by narcissists to maintain control and protect their fragile egos. They may react with anger or defensiveness when their actions are questioned, often redirecting blame back to the person providing feedback. This behavior can make you question your own perceptions and feelings, leaving you uncertain about the validity of your concerns. Let's say you confront a narcissistic friend about repeatedly canceling plans at the last minute. Instead of apologizing or acknowledging your feelings, they might respond with something like, "Why are you always so needy? You know I'm busy. You should be more understanding." This response not only deflects responsibility, but also makes you feel guilty for having reasonable expectations in the friendship. The defensive nature of narcissists can lead to a cycle of conflict, where their refusal to accept any responsibility creates ongoing emotional turmoil for those around them. You might find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to voice your opinions or feelings for fear of triggering another defensive outburst. It's important to recognize that this behavior isn't about you. It's about the narcissist's deep-seated insecurities and inability to handle even the slightest perceived threat to their self-image. Understanding this can help you maintain your sense of reality and self-worth when dealing with such behaviors. So how can you protect yourself when interacting with someone who displays these narcissistic traits? First, remember that their reactions are not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your feelings. Stay grounded in your own reality and trust your perceptions. Second, set clear boundaries and stick to them. Don't engage in circular arguments or attempts to make the narcissist see your point of view. It's unlikely to be productive. Now that we've discussed protecting yourself, let's explore a more subtle aspect of narcissism. Imagine a world where someone truly believes they're above society's norms. What would that look like in everyday life? The answer might surprise you. Have you ever encountered someone who consistently disregards rules or social etiquette, acting as if they're exempt from the guidelines that govern everyday interactions? This behavior goes beyond mere rudeness or selfishness. It's a key indicator of narcissistic tendencies that often goes unnoticed. Narcissists often display a profound sense of entitlement, believing that rules and social norms simply don't apply to them. This mindset can manifest in various ways, from small infractions to more significant breaches of social conduct. For instance, you might observe a narcissist cutting in line at a grocery store, justifying their action with a flimsy excuse about being in a hurry. Or perhaps they habitually arrive late to meetings, showing little concern for others' time and schedules. This sense of being above the rules isn't limited to minor social infractions. In more extreme cases, narcissists might engage in cheating or unethical behavior, convinced that their superior status exempts them from moral considerations. They might justify cruelty, academic dishonesty, or infidelity, all while maintaining a belief in their own righteousness. The concept of tall man syndrome aptly describes how narcissists perceive themselves in relation to others. They view themselves as towering above the masses, looking down on those they consider inferior. This inflated self-image leads them to disregard rules they believe are meant for others to follow, not for someone of their perceived stature. Another fascinating aspect of narcissistic behavior is their tendency to surround themselves with individuals who reinforce their self-image. They carefully curate their social circle, gravitating towards those who offer praise and admiration while avoiding anyone who might provide constructive criticism. This selective approach to relationships serves to maintain their grandiose self-perception, but comes at a significant cost. By shielding themselves from honest feedback and differing perspectives, narcissists create an echo chamber that stunts their personal growth. They miss out on opportunities for self-improvement and genuine connection, trapped in a cycle of self-aggrandizement. This behavior can have far-reaching consequences, impacting their professional development, personal relationships, and overall life satisfaction. In romantic relationships, the narcissist's sense of entitlement takes on an even more troubling dimension. They often treat their partners as trophies, expecting them to conform to their desires and preferences without consideration for the partner's own needs or individuality. This dynamic can lead to significant emotional distress for the partner, who may feel constantly pressured to meet impossible standards or face manipulation and control tactics. Narcissists frequently employ manipulation to maintain control in their relationships. They might use guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or emotional blackmail to keep their partners in line. For example, if a partner expresses dissatisfaction or attempts to assert boundaries, the narcissist might respond with statements like, "After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me," or "You're being too sensitive. Can't you take a joke?" It's crucial to recognize that this behavior stems from the narcissist's deep-seated insecurities and fragile self-esteem. Despite their outward appearance of confidence and superiority, narcissists often struggle with intense feelings of inadequacy. Their entitled behavior and disregard for rules serve as defense mechanisms, protecting their fragile ego from perceived threats or challenges. Understanding these aspects of narcissistic behavior can be empowering. It allows you to recognize when someone is consistently overstepping boundaries or disregarding social norms, not out of simple rudeness, but as part of a larger pattern of narcissistic behavior. This awareness can help you set clearer boundaries and maintain your own values when interacting with individuals who display these traits. Have you ever wondered if there's hope for change when dealing with narcissistic behavior, either in yourself or others? The answer might surprise you, and it could transform your relationships in ways you never imagined. Contrary to popular belief, narcissism isn't a fixed trait that condemns someone to a lifetime of destructive patterns. It's actually a set of habits that can be changed with awareness and effort. This revelation opens up a world of possibilities for personal growth and healing. Let's start by addressing a common misconception: the idea that narcissists are incapable of change. While it's true that deeply ingrained behaviors can be challenging to modify, it's far from impossible. The key lies in recognizing these patterns and making a conscious effort to alter them. For those who identify narcissistic tendencies in themselves, self-reflection is a crucial first step. It takes courage to look inward and acknowledge behaviors that might be harmful to yourself and others. But this self-awareness is the foundation for meaningful change. One practical strategy for combating narcissistic habits is developing better listening skills. Narcissists often engage in what's called unilateral listening, where they dismiss others' feelings and concerns. By consciously practicing active listening and showing genuine interest in others' perspectives, you can begin to break this pattern. Another powerful tool is bilateral communication. This involves acknowledging both your own feelings and those of others, creating a more balanced and respectful dialogue. It's about recognizing that your perspective isn't the only valid one, and that others' experiences and emotions are equally important. For those dealing with narcissistic individuals in their lives, setting clear boundaries is essential. It's important to understand that you can't change someone else's behavior, but you can control how you respond to it. Establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries protects your emotional well-being and sends a clear message about what you will and won't accept in your relationships. Emotional manipulation is a common tactic used by narcissists, but recognizing it is half the battle. When you're aware of these patterns, you're less likely to be drawn into their drama or question your own perceptions. Remember, your feelings and experiences are valid, regardless of how a narcissist might try to dismiss or minimize them. It's also crucial to maintain your sense of self and purpose when interacting with narcissistic individuals. Their behavior often stems from deep-seated insecurities, but that doesn't excuse its impact on others. By staying grounded in your own values and goals, you can avoid being swept up in their emotional turbulence. For both those exhibiting narcissistic tendencies and those affected by them, seeking professional help can be incredibly beneficial. A therapist can provide guidance, strategies, and support for navigating these complex relationships and behaviors. They can help you develop healthier coping mechanisms and communication skills, paving the way for more fulfilling interactions. It's important to note that change takes time and effort. Narcissistic behaviors often develop as coping mechanisms over many years, so modifying them requires patience and persistence. But with commitment and the right support, it's possible to foster healthier relationships and improve emotional intelligence. Remember, the goal isn't to completely transform someone's personality overnight. Instead, focus on small, consistent changes that can lead to significant improvements over time. This might involve practicing empathy, learning to validate others' feelings, or working on accepting constructive criticism without becoming defensive. For those dealing with narcissistic individuals, it's crucial to maintain realistic expectations. While change is possible, it requires the other person to recognize their behavior and be willing to put in the work. Your energy is best spent on setting boundaries, protecting your own mental health, and fostering relationships with those who value and respect you. Throughout this video, we've uncovered the hidden signs of narcissism: charm that masks true intentions, personalized criticism, a sense of entitlement, and manipulative behaviors. Recognizing these patterns is crucial for protecting your emotional well-being and fostering healthier relationships. Trust your instincts when something feels off in your interactions. If you're constantly walking on eggshells or feeling drained after spending time with someone, it might be a sign of narcissistic behavior. Remember, you're not responsible for someone else's actions or emotions. You have the power to set boundaries and prioritize your own emotional health. Start by acknowledging your feelings and experiences as valid. Surround yourself with people who support your growth and well-being. If you're struggling with a narcissistic relationship, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Your journey to self-discovery and empowerment begins with awareness and small, consistent steps towards change.